Okay, well, time to take a look now at the business news. Stephen Carroll joins me. Morning, Stephen.
Hi, Eve.
You're starting, I believe, in the United States, where shares in Gunmakers have risen following the attack in Las Vegas.
This is something that tends to happen in the wake of mass shootings in the United States, and that's because gun sales usually increase in the wake of these kind of events. Shares in American Outdoor Brands, which owns the Smith & Wesson brand, rose by over 3% in trading on Monday. It was a similar picture for Sturm Ruger & Company. Industry experts say the reasoning behind this is that after a mass shooting there is more talk about gun control, and people decide to buy weapons out of a fear they might not be able to in the future. More generally, gun sales have been on a decline since last year's US election. American Outdoor shares have been down by almost 50% since November until the close of trading last Friday.
Okay, well, let's look next at the collapse of the UK airline Monarch.
Britain's aviation regulator says it'll cost some £60 million or around 68 million euros to bring back the 110,000 passengers who would otherwise have been stranded abroad by Monarch's bankruptcy. The airline shut down in the early hours of yesterday morning after 50 years in operation. Almost 2,000 staff have lost their jobs. 250 others will stay on to help organise the return flights. The UK government is set to pick up the majority of the tab for the repatriation operation.
Okay, well, back here in France, and it could be a delicate meeting on the cards for President Emmanuel Macron today.
The president's going to the north of France to meet workers at the Whirlpool factory in Amiens, who confronted him during the presidential election campaign. The plant, which employs almost 300 people, had been threatened with closure, but a buyer has since been found that will see the majority of jobs saved. Mr Macron will be hoping the trip will boost his popularity among workers. They've been critical of his government's moves to reform the labour code and the wealth tax. Pierre Del Rio reports.
After his last visit, presidential candidate Macron left on a promise.
I will guarantee acceptable conditions and find a buyer for the company.
6 months later, the future is more certain for Frédéric and many of his colleagues from Whirlpool.
We can finally breathe. It's a relief.
The Whirlpool factory in Amiens was meant to close by June 2018, leaving nearly 300 workers jobless. But after a highly publicized strike and 6 different offers, the plant was finally bought by French entrepreneur Nicolas Decailleux. In the midst of a controversial transformation of France's complex labor laws, Emmanuel Macron is coming back to the Whirlpool site this Tuesday, as promised.
It's not the greatest time for him signing his orders, but we'll put that aside. He promised to come back, so he's coming back, walk around, do his thing.
With the support of the state, the new owner pledged to invest some 20 million euros over the upcoming 3 years and hire back 277 of Whirlpool's 290 employees. No more tumble dryers, however. The site will now manufacture refrigerators and charging stations for electric vehicles.
We learn to be flexible, do different things. We'll adapt.
We're open to anything to keep working.
But the future is still unclear for Whirlpool's local subcontractors. That's nearly 200 jobs in a region where unemployment is at more than 12%.
Well, let's take a look at what's happening on the stock markets for you next. A bit of a mixed open to the trading day in Europe. We've got gains in Paris and Frankfurt, but London is trading in the red. The Spanish stock market trading pretty much at zero change at the start of trading. Just a little bit of a bump at the very beginning, but that fell back to zero afterwards. So no ongoing reaction there on the stock markets, at least from the referendum in Catalonia. Over in Asia, it was a quieter day than usual. The Nikkei in Tokyo was up, and the Hang Seng also saw gains. That after the records we saw on Wall Street in trading on Monday. Shanghai and the Caspian Seoul are both closed, though, for public holidays.
Okay, and finally, Stephen, from you, a dating app has decided to go one step further and help people find jobs as well as romance.
Bumble has launched a spin-off app from its dating one, which will help match people for jobs. The profiles do look a little bit different. There's more space to talk about professional experience, and you're meant to upload just one photo of yourself and others of your current work, rather than varieties of you on a beach or a treadmill. Bumble already has 21 million users for its dating app. It's an industry estimated to be worth $3 billion. but you might understand why they're getting into recruitment. That's worth $200 billion. Bumble's selling points is that it says people spend an average of 90 minutes a day on the app, almost double Instagram, and frankly a long time to be spending on your phone at all.
An hour and a half on one app. I'm quite impressed. Stephen Carr with the Business News, thanks indeed for that.